Hola, or buenas tardes. This is my first full day in beautiful Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I arrived yesterday at approximately 1:30, and let me introduce myself to those who are viewing my channel for the first time. The channel is Passportability, and it's all about letting seniors like myself, Black women, realize that they can still travel abroad and realize that either their bucket list or for the very first time consider living abroad and becoming what's called an expat, which is short for expatriate, which simply means living in a country other than the one where you have citizenship. So for Americans, that would be living anywhere outside the United States of America, maintaining your citizenship as an American citizen and either having temporary residency in another country. So that's what passportability is, bringing you information to help you flex your passport ability muscles at any age. I also have a Facebook group entitled 60 Plus Black Women Expats Group. And it's for older women, married, single, doesn't matter, who have decided that they do want to venture outside of the United States to look for a new place to live, even if it's only half the year or part-time or full-time. It's totally up to them. But the group is not bound by location. So it's not expats of Mexico or expats of Panama. It's 60 plus Black women expats all over the world. And that's what the group is composed of. A third of it is those of us who have already found a home abroad and are willing to advise those who are maybe considering for the first time what the planning involved, what the cost involved, but whatever your reason for exploring living abroad, whether it's to maintain your standard of living or have a better lifestyle because the dollar is more valuable abroad. I'm in Mexico, as I said, and the $1 is about 20 pesos today, the Mexican dollar. So that's pretty good. So back to while I'm making this video now. This is my first full day, and this is my maiden voyage, so to speak, because although I did a lot of traveling in my career, I'm now retired, and I haven't gone abroad in almost 6 years. And when I realized there was nothing keeping me from doing that, I renewed my passport, and I have a video. If you look at my playlist, there's a video on renewing my passport for those of you who are looking to get a passport maybe for the first time. And it just involves where you go and how to apply for a passport. But that's not what this particular video is about. It is the maiden voyage. I did careful planning, and there were a lot of things that went wrong, and I'll tell you about them. So stay to the end because I want you to know how important those things that went wrong are. First of all, I planned this trip for maybe 3 months. Very carefully. I joined the Blacks of Puerto Vallarta and connected with some that are already living here, and I plan to meet up with them, have meet and greet, and do activities with them. I flew in on Southwest, and it was a two-part travel. I had to change plane. I was scheduled to change plane in Denver. That didn't happen. One particular thing or difference about me is that I travel with a service dog, and I filled out all the paperwork that is needed, and I even brought extra. One of the things that you always want to do when traveling abroad is to make a copy of all your important documents, like your passport and your driver's license and your insurance card. And if you're traveling with a service animal or a pet, you need to look up and find out on the airline site what's required for that animal. And you also need to find out what's required for your pet, your animal, or your service dog in the country that's your destination. So I did all of that and I completed that paperwork. And with some airlines, with American Airlines, you submit all that paperwork, you upload it. With Southwest, I was only told to come an hour earlier to the airport, which I did. So my 6 a.m. flight turned into a 4 a.m. flight. But I arrived on time and checked, did the mobile check-in and went to the kiosk and checked one bag, got a printout, and then got in line because with the service animal, I would have to go to the full service desk to hand in his paperwork. So I did get in line, and after waiting in line, and even at 4 a.m. in the morning, the airport was full. When I approached, I was told I was in the wrong line and that I had to get in another line, which was even longer than the first line. So now I've wasted anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. I get in that line, and by the time I get to the front, the lady informs me that I am in the wrong line and I should be in the line that I was, initial line that I was told to get out of. So I explained it to her, and she is not happy. She takes my paperwork, leaves the desk, and walks to the line I was in initially, and probably has a conversation there for about 5 minutes. She comes back, and then she leaves again in another direction. She's gone for a full 20 minutes. When she returns, she then tells me to put my bag on the thing to weigh it, which I did, and she accepts it. Then she tells me that I have too many carry-ons, which I knew I were limited to 2, and I thought my purse strapped to a bag would count as 1. It didn't, and so I had to check a backpack. And she gave me the ticket, boarding pass, and sent me on my way. But by now, I am now approximately 45 minutes delayed. And I am just now approaching TSA. And the lines are extremely long. So once I get to the end of TSA, it is almost time for me to board my plane. It is almost 6 o'clock. And I go through, and of course, I'm fine, but the dog goes through and sets off all sorts of alarms because of course he's wearing his vest, his service dog vest. I am then told that the dog has to be pat down and that he has to be touched by a stranger to be pat down. That was nowhere explained to me. In any case, he agreed. the dog was cooperative, in a good mood, as my service dog is. But I had to remove not only my shoes, but the dog's vest, and then wait until the gentleman who would pet down dogs arrived to pet down the dog, and then vest him up again and collect my items and then be on my way. And now it's like the third call for boarding. As I rush through and get there, they now inform me that even though the plane is there and the lady's at the gate, that I'm too late. I've been there since 4 o'clock, but I'm too late. And that they have already switched my flight, and I will be flying out from another gate on the other side of the airport. And it's 30 minutes from now. But it also will connect me. I will now be laid over in Houston instead of Denver, which is great, which is my preference. So I had time to grab breakfast and head to that gate and go up to the desk and inform the lady of everything that had gone on. And she pulled it up and found that yes, they in fact had switched me to that flight and that everything was fine and I would be allowed to pre-board with my service animal. And at that point, she took the older boarding pass and gave me new boarding pass. And I waited because now I'm early. That flight didn't leave until 11 instead of 6 a.m. I'm now on an 11 o'clock flight, and we board and everything's fine. I land in Puerto Vallarta at 1:30, and my bags are not there. The 2 check bags are not there. So now I have 2 things that didn't go as planned. Switched flights, and now bags have not arrived. And the gentleman fills out when my dog also has to be, thankfully I kept all my documents with me, which you always want to do. Never check a bag with your documents in it. The dog, I went through customs with no problem, and after a very long line, and then the dog also had to do a health check, which went fine. And then we waited and waited and hoped our bags would arrive, and they didn't. And the gentleman told me my bags, in fact, were in Denver, because they did make the flight. Filled out a report, but now I'm just telling you all of this because I want you to know that things can go wrong. So I noticed that my new boarding passes did not have the initial bag that was checked, because the lady took those and the new board took it with the first boarding pass, and the one she replaced it with for me to fly out of Houston to Puerto Vallarta didn't have that bag. So now I'm not even sure where the first bag is, but the guy can assure me that the second bag is in Denver. So he's on the phone, I'm on the phone, and I find out there's only 1 flight a day that is going to arrive, and it has already arrived. It was the one I was on. So now I'm without my bag until the next day. I finally get out and and there are always people there selling timeshare presentations, which they warned us on the airplane to avoid at all costs unless you want to lose 4 hours of your life to high pressure sales for timeshare. In any case, I'm looking for a taxi or an Uber, and of course the guy that assists me, and I give him the address, and he's going to hail the taxi, and then he explains to me that he in fact is one of the timeshare guys. I'm exhausted by this time, and but he's like, you can do it 5 days from now. I'm like, okay, fine, just get me an Uber, get me a taxi. I'm looking for a place to get pesos, exchange my dollars for pesos, And I get in a taxi and everything's lovely, and I finally get to my destination. As I drive through beautiful Puerto Vallarta, I arrive and the lovely lady is standing out front and appears to recognize me from my picture, but she's not smiling. When I get out of the car, she says, "No perro," which means no dog, no service dog. She and her husband now tell me that their place is not available to anyone with a dog. So I have to explain to her that my Airbnb profile says I come with a service dog. And the search on Airbnb was only for accommodations that were pet friendly and air conditioning. So after maybe 20 minutes of trying to using Google Translate, they finally agreed to let me stay. That's how day one started. Now, I want to see how long this is before I tell you about day two. Oh, this is over already 16 minutes, but I'll tell you about day two. I'll try to make it quick. So by this time, I'm exhausted with all the unexpected, but I told you to wait till the end. The unusual part is nothing went as planned, and it was still fine. I was still happy to be in Mexico. I was still happy to be in Puerto Vallarta. Everyone was friendly. Even the people who told me that there was a misunderstanding and they didn't accept dogs, the young couple finally did. The place is very clean. It's not as fancy as I expected, but it's fine. It is immaculately clean. It is a traditional Mexican neighborhood. It is about 20 minutes from downtown Puerto Vallarta, as it was in all the details. So it's slightly up in the mountains. It's in fact cooler temperature than it was in Dallas, so that's great. And now I forage for food for me and the dog. Oh, the taxi did stop. The taxi did stop at Walmart, because there's a Walmart in Puerto Vallarta in downtown where I purchased dog food. So my dog gets food, and then I walk around the corner and I have my first authentic quesadilla, and it was lovely. And I came back to the place and had a good night, even without my bags, even having to switch flight. There was still a peace and calm that I was looking for. And I was glad that I had the courage at my age to start my new expedition of finding a place abroad to live, either indefinitely or part of the year. And I wanted to start with Mexico because I wanted a place in close proximity to the US so I could visit grandkids. And the second day, which is today, my first full day, also started out with surprises. I took a bus, because I'm right near a bus stop, to downtown Puerto Vallarta. And when I said I wanted to go to Walmart, the bus driver informed me that he didn't go anywhere near there. But I got off the bus and I took a taxi to the Walmart where I would get a few things while I grab a bite to eat and wait for my luggage. I ate at Joe Jack's Fish Shack, and the shrimp was wonderful. Everything was so fresh, and I waited and got the second surprise. My luggage was not in Puerto Vallarta at 1:30 or 1:10. 1:10 is when it arrives from Denver. 1:30 is when it arrives from Houston. Mine didn't arrive. I called the number and finally get someone who I explain everything to from Southwest. My phone works just fine. I have Google Fi, thumbs up for Google Fi. All I did was turn it off and turn it back on once I landed in Mexico. And every call is perfect, like I'm still in the US. So I called Southwest and they informed me that their records show that I never made the flight. And they were preparing to send my luggage back to Dallas. That wasn't good news. So now it's gonna be 2 days before I get my luggage. She, however, does look up. I explained to her that I don't know how to track the first bag because they took the boarding pass, and she looks it up and gives me the claim number and assures me that the 2 bags are together and that they are frozen in Denver. And they were trying to decide what to do with them. But the plan was to keep them there and send them back to Dallas. She wasn't quite clear. But in any case, she assured me that my bags would arrive tomorrow. At this point, I won't hold my breath. I believe her, but then I believe the guy yesterday that took the report and said my bags would arrive today, and they didn't. However, I did let her know how much I did not appreciate all the confusion, and I was told that they would reimburse me for the cost of being out of my bags for 2 days. So with that, and all I have to do is keep my receipts. And I was told that by one of my expat sisters in the group. Yay, 60 plus Black women expats group. And I will post a link because the women in there are so very smart. And when you have things like this go wrong, there is somebody there who's been there and done that and will tell you what to do. And she basically said, you need to let them know what a super inconvenience they have caused, because they just won't offer to reimburse you. So I did let them know how they put me out, and now they are going to reimburse me. So with that, I was able to go shopping and get something nice to wear and an outfit, and they're going to reimburse me for the cost. So once again, things did not go as planned, and I'm still happy. And I'm still looking forward to the next day and the next day, and the things I discover and the people I'll meet. And I did connect with a Black group, the travel agent group, and I also met another Black woman in Walmart who helped me tremendously and told me where I should go to eat, and I have her phone number. And so the world isn't as big as we think it is, because there is always a sister that you'll run into that is willing to help you, whether it's face to face or if it's in a Facebook group. And so I want to thank my sisters in the 60 plus Black women expat group for being there for me. And yes, I am here, and yes, I'm starting my expat journey, and I am extremely happy. And now I'm extremely tired, and I'm gonna get a good night's sleep. So stay tuned. I'm supposed to tell you to like and subscribe so that you'll get a notice when I make the next video. And please do leave a comment if there's something you want, a question you want to ask about my travel plans or my planning, just leave me a comment and I will do that. Until next time, goodbye.